Okay. So, hello, ma'am. Welcome to our Leadership Talk web series, Perspective. It is a great pleasure to have you with us. So, some of us already know you from our last year host stand, and for others who don't know, let me just introduce you for a minute. So, we have with us Mrs. Harini Srinivasan. Ma'am is currently the affiliate partner with Semco Style Institute India and an advisor to the board for CARE. She has gone beyond that role of CHRO and has been throughout leader and drinking in innovation and transformation among the young generation continuously. She has been a business mentor, a guest faculty, and a HR columnist. We are extremely honored to have you with us, and we are very happy to get more knowledge from you to guide us for the coming days. So,
Pleasure is absolutely mine to be with student fraternity. Yes, let's hit the road.
yes, ma'am. So there are a few questions we'll just ask, and you can go ahead. So the first question we have with us is, how do you think the expectation of job is changing currently? Because with the current scenario, the situation is looking very grim for us. So how do you think the expectation of jobs will change now?
So here, this is, we are at a very interesting state in the entire the corporate world, where at one point of time we were looking at very rigid, very specific job descriptions, and we were trying to comply. We have come to a situation where suddenly overnight we were asked to become flexible. We were expected to start trusting people. So I think that is what is going to be the forward in the new normal. Trust, which was somewhere there, but we refused to acknowledge that there is trust, and we wanted people to comply with their job descriptions. We wanted people to come into the office, work under the noses of their managers. But overnight, the situation has made us all realize that work can be carried out provided there is trust. It can be carried out even when people are working remote. So I think trust is going to play a very key role in the way jobs are going to look like in the new normal. It temporarily looks like there could be job cuts, but to my mind, it's just going to be a reconciliation of what is required in a business and what probably is not necessarily required. So there is going to be a sifting of the kind of jobs that are required, but I think trust and treating people as humans as humans is going to play a new role.
Absolutely, ma'am. Actually, yes, the current scenario has taught us to trust people more because we don't know what is exactly happening. So the next question is,
Yes.
do you think after this attrition rate will decrease for all the companies, or people will consider job security more than better job roles?
Attrition is going to look very different now. The way we calculate attrition is probably going to change because uh, a lot of flexible working, to my mind, is a strong possibility that I see. Because people have started understanding that it is very important to to let people work with flexibility. So managers have started understanding that, leaders have started understanding that, and employees have got a taste of working flexible, working remotely, working from home. So this is kind of triggering thoughts in becoming a gig worker to a lot more people than it was in the past. So the typical quote unquote job security working within an employment contract is slightly starting to look a little different. Gig economy may become a lot more visible in the, at least in the Indian context. With that, the way we calculate attrition is going to look very different. Now we calculate attrition by the number of employees we have onboarded and by and the number of employees that have exited. We take an average of the two, and on that we calculate the attrition. But now with a lot of flexible workforce coming, gig workers coming, attrition per se in terms of numbers will look very less because the whole demographics is going to change. There is a possibility that you have flexible workforce, which is actually not supposed to be counted as attrition. So attrition per se should come down. That's my take on it.
And that's one positive outlook with this pandemic.
Yes.
So the next
Ma'am, I would
question.
like to go ahead with the next question. So from your vast experience, would you what do you think about the present situation? Like, can companies learn from the past recessions, or do they need to strategize from scratch? Is there anything that is comparable to the previous recessions, or is everything new now?
This is a different one. Well, in my view, this is something which is very, very different. It is unprecedented for everybody for a couple of reasons. One is, this is a situation which is not a recession due to a particular business or due to a political situation or due to just a fraction of the people. This is a situation which has gripped the whole world. Okay, different countries are taking different stands towards how they face the situation and come out of it, which is itself a very interesting scenario to watch. Now, what is particularly important in this is not a recession per se, this is a slowdown of the economy globally, right? So when the economy is slowing down globally, even jobs which are industry agnostic are facing this in a very different manner. Earlier, when there was recession in ITES industry, HR folks like us could look at other industries where there was no recession, right? Now, because this is not industry specific, this is something which has gripped the global economy. All those jobs which are industry agnostic are also finding it a struggle. So I think a very big myth that certain functions, if you are an HR professional, it makes sense if you are in a particular industry. First of all, that myth is going to get broken. So that's one of the positives I would look at it here. And, and this not being a recession, this being a global phenomenon, I think the bounce back will be equally aggressive as you compare it with the way we have been slipping down. So it's important for organizations to look way ahead into the future and not look at just immediate steps after the situation. And it's important that we plan way ahead of the future so that we are able to keep up pace when the economy starts bouncing back. Because that's going to be equally fast as well.
So in this context only, what do you think, we don't know what the new normal will be. So what do you think will be the key changes that company needs to adopt in terms of their design, structure and culture?
Yes.
So what are key things that needs to be adopted?
Great. So organizations we are all discovering the new normal. Okay. But because trust is going to play a major role in the way people work, because people are expecting, even now the expectation from employees would be that they would get far more flexibility and freedom to work the way they want from wherever they want. So people have tasted that, so that's going to be an expectation from employees. So employers will have to redesign a lot of their policies. I would even say that policies would have to be replaced with guidelines, right? Policies is one of my favorites. Policies come from policing, and we don't like to be policed around, right? So policies will have to be rewritten to sound like guidelines. Employment contracts will have to be rewritten, may not necessarily be rewritten really, but employees' roles have to be recontracted so that deliverables are very clearly outlined and people understand expectations of each other and deliver to it, even if no one is watching. So a great extent of integrity will have to start appearing in the culture, a great amount of trust, transparency, collaboration, treating adults as adults. When we are growing up at home, we are said, grow up, Again, when we get into the workplace in the old normal, till recently, we were told that this is a policy, do this, follow this. If you don't follow this, this is the penalty you have to pay. All of this becomes treating a child, treating someone like a child. So these things will change. I think the culture will become a lot more adult to adult, transparent, collaborative interactions. And organizations will have to gear up, because what we have in design right now is for the old normal, if we can call it so. And we have to redesign a lot of our policies, practices, processes, tools, become a lot more agile to accept to the new normal. So I think this is a change that's going to happen. A lot of trust, transparency, and collaboration will be the scene of the day.
Yeah. Along with this, following up with this, what changes in the structure do you think will be coming, and how is it? How difficult will it be to change the structure of an organization in a time like this when people are not meeting with each other? So, how difficult will it be?
So more than an organization structure to change, I think what organizations need to look at is how they change the way they work within that structure. I wouldn't even say that remove hierarchy, let hierarchy remain, let organization charts remain, but how do you work within that? If I take an example, how was delegation done in the past? There was a manager in the org chart, manager had 3-4 people, and then the 3-4 people had other teams reporting to them. How would delegation happen? Delegation would happen top down, step by step, right, in a waterfall method. But I think within the structure, all that organizations have to do to quickly adopt to the new normal is change the way they work. Start working in terms of in like agile groups. Start working as groups towards a common objective. And then you don't really need to have instructions coming cascading down. You can have people, you give them the big picture, you give them what is the desired outcome, and you ask them to collaborate and start working as teams and just monitor the teams. One of my favorite terms, which I have coined, is managers will have to start working like seatbelt managers, right? So like a seatbelt in a car, they have to snugly fit over their team members, allowing them space to move around, allowing them the freedom to be there, but only when there is something that will go wrong, okay? The seatbelt will have to hold that person back. So I think restructuring an organization is not necessarily redrawing the organization chart, but just changing the way we work, changing interactions within that, putting interactions over on top of processes and tools, putting collaboration on top of negotiation, the 4 tenets of Agile. The moment you bring that into it, your organization is redesigned. You don't necessarily have to break down structures. You don't have to do a complete revamp. You just have to change the way we work.
Thank you, ma'am. One more thing. So in this time, how important is the visibility of the senior leadership? Again, since we do not have face-to-face meetings, and how do you think the senior leadership should remain visible to the employees now?
Senior leadership remaining visible has always played a key role, no matter what is the organization structure, no matter whether there is a crisis like this or not. Visibility of senior leadership makes a big difference. Okay, if it's a small organization, look at startups. Why are they so vibrant? Why is everybody accountable? Because the senior leadership is very easily visible. They know every single individual in the team, so on and so forth. But as the organization starts getting more and more, when it starts growing, a layer starts setting in, and senior leadership visibility slowly dwindles. But I think now with technology in place, senior leadership being visible is not difficult. What they really need to make visible is not themselves, but the intent, their beliefs, their values. So there are multiple ways in which the senior leadership can demonstrate their values. They can be seen visible as being participative in some meetings. They can be seen visible as doing a lot of these open town halls where they are transparently showing a lot more than what used to be done in those face-to-face town halls. In using technology, they can show a lot of their financials down to the people. As long as they're able to demonstrate that they are there and they're very transparent about the state in which the business is, I think that is the key. And with that, I'm sure a lot more trust will start getting built, and even people will not notice that there is remoteness in their working. So visibility can be done by way of just being transparent.
Thank you, ma'am. So I'll come to the students like us. So some tips from you how MBA graduates can make use of this time and come out stronger out of this.
Okay. So there's a very simple 4-point thing that I was just thinking about. I would call it as the ABCD. How do you engage your time right now and come out? So right now we are going through a tunnel. It's a long, dark tunnel. And with every announcement, the tunnel seems to be getting longer. But we all know that there is going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. Right? We firmly believe in that, and we are traveling through it like passengers. So when we reach the light at the end of the tunnel, it's going to be a very bright light, and we have to ensure that we don't get blinded by that light because we've been in this dark for a very long time. So it's very important that we learn to gear ourselves to face that extremely bright light at the end of the tunnel. So I think a very simple ABCD formula, which you apply in a corporate or you apply as a student, it will work. So the A is avoid excess of anything. Okay. So with A, I would say avoid excess of anything. And whether you're learning something, so sometimes you're too tempted to do any learning course that comes in front of you just because somebody is doing, right? So something you should avoid is avoid excess of that. Stick to a focus. Fix your focus on what you want to do. Pick up anything, but be focused on that. Enrich yourself. Go with depth of content on that. B is build confidence, right? Build confidence in you that you're going to tide over this phase. It is just a temporary phase and the economy is going to open up. A lot of us, a lot of you students are actually coming back to me saying that job offers have been revoked and we don't know what's going to happen. But I guess this is a phase where you're not at fault, right? So why do you have to panic? So build confidence. It's still not even the beginning of your career. So no time will be considered as a gap in your resume. Invest your time in doing what you want to do. Focus on that. C is create involvement. So whatever you're doing, don't do it superficially. Create complete involvement of yourself, of your entire self in it. Even if you're pursuing a hobby, look at it. If at some point of time, can it become a business model for you? Okay. If painting is your hobby, try to see if you can convert it to a business model at some time. You may not. Okay? For all you know, maybe you never need to do it. But there's no harm looking at it that way, because when you're looking at something as converting to a business model, you're investing your time. You're not spending your time. So the difference is between spending and investing. So when you create involvement in it, you may not be earning a single rupee today, but do it as if it's your job. Okay, assume you're earning today. So create that kind of involvement. And D is for drive development. So whatever you're doing, don't do anything for the sake of training yourself in it. Drive development. Look at it as a development. See if it is going to make you a better individual than what you are today when you emerge out of that tunnel. So it's all about how you invest your time and take the ABCDs right now, so that when you emerge out of that tunnel, when that bright light hits you, you're ready to take on from there and it doesn't really blind you. So focus on the ABCDs right now.
That was really helpful. Yeah, I think 6, 7.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So you meant it's going to be bright after some time, like things are not going to be permanent.
Yes.
So what do you think our MBA graduates should expect from the market? Like when the market reopens, what should they expect? Like,
see, when the market reopens, it's not going to be the same as before. So a lot of things, including how jobs are perceived, is going to look different. There is I mean, absolutely, these are my views. Okay, so this is not based on any data that I have, but it is based on my observations and thorough study of how industries function. Jobs are definitely going to look different. The way organizations look at how they want to staff their organization, that is going to look different. Earlier there was this fad about having volume of people on roles. That might look starkly different. People might organize workforce so that they gear up for any such situation that comes in the past, which will come in the future. So the job market certainly is going to undergo a change. The way organizations is likely to change. The way organizations deal with exits is also likely to change. So this is going to be a very big shift. Now, there could be differences of how different industries, when they start picking up. It would be really not surprising to see different industries taking the reboot at different points of time. For example, I have a feeling that the tourism, travel, food, and restaurant take a long time to recover. But the IT-enabled services might recover very fast. So because the situation is such where it's because of a pandemic, and it's not because of any other political or any other industry-specific reason. So certain businesses could take up time to reboot. So as students, if you can focus yourself and try to see how you can adapt to the speed with which the reboot is going to happen, then I think it will help. So you'll have to be watchful about which industry is going to start opening up first, and you'll have to start gearing yourself towards that. So maybe you don't have too much of a choice, the freedom of choice about which industry you go. If you're working in an, you're developing your skills, I think you have to be very, very watchful about the speed with which and the sequence with which the boom is going to come back, and time yourself accordingly.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, according to you, what the students should focus on right now? Focus as in there are multiple courses, online courses, which we can do currently. So you only said that we should focus on
Yes.
something which is useful and not hog on all the certificates. So what do you feel is
Yes.
something we
Yes.
should focus on as students? What we should focus on?
Okay, go with where do you see yourself? Okay, so start with looking at which is the industry that you wish to put foot in first. Okay, just go with your wishful thinking. Right now it's very difficult for you to even say where life is going to take you, because there's a lot of ambiguity everywhere. So I mean, you have to start somewhere. So draw your persona as to where is it, which industry that you wish to start. Okay, and towards getting into that, whatever are the courses that you need to do, enable yourself and arm yourself with those. So, for example, suppose you say that you wish to start your career in the ITS industry because you expect that to come rebound faster than the others. What is it that will get you to be there and have that edge over others? Look at those courses and do them. You probably don't have to do courses that someone else does if that person has an interest in the tourism industry or in the food business, right? So look at where you wish to be, draw your own persona 6 months down the line, and see what are the skills that persona, that caricature of yours would require 6 months down the line, and equip yourself with those skills. So that's what I mean by picking and choosing the skills, the courses that you need to do.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. That is really helpful. So it is actually very interesting to think that we have to think about a persona of ourselves and then go ahead. Like just like acting, we have to take a person and then go ahead.
Yes,
So
yes, yes. Draw yourself, your wishful thinking self,
yes.
6 months down the line, and write down the skills that you would require there. And if you have to get there, what is it that you have to do? That will obviously bring you to that focus.
Okay, ma'am. So now this is the last question we are asking. So any special initiative that you have taken for your employees for their well-being, productivity, and engagement in this pandemic, which you have taken?
So, right. So I will speak on or whatever we are doing for our clients, because ours is an organization where we work extensively with clients, and we are a very, very small set of partners who advise clients. So for all of our clients, the various initiatives are, what we're doing is obviously everybody started working remotely. One of our clients is in the space of essential services. So we've started maintaining a kind of a roster wherein we check on their well-being on almost a daily basis, on the well-being of their families and themselves, because they, being essential services, are pretty much on the job and they are on the front. They are literally fighting the pandemic. So for them, that's a very special case. So we are taking utmost care to ensure that on a daily basis, they're being inquired. We have put in certain systems in place wherein they can send us SOS messages with the slightest of discomfort that anybody in their surroundings has. We've started speaking with a lot of first-time managers who have suddenly been thrown into managing their teams remotely. And we're doing a lot of coaching sessions one-on-one with them, wherein they are put at ease that they can also get their teams to deliver even though they're working remotely. Because for them, it becomes we got a feeling that it becomes, kind of apprehensions on their own capability. How will they deliver with a remote team when they're first-time managers? So a lot of focus is on coaching and training managers. Keeping the pandemic aside, we are focusing on coaching a lot of behaviors so that the right behaviors are nudged, people are doing the right kind of things, so that they are more focused on deliverables than on worrying about the pandemic. So these are a couple of things that they're doing. One directly addressing the people who are facing the pandemic, and the second is helping people to come over it.
So thank you so much for your valuable insights. We are, I guess, this will be very helpful for the students who are going through a tough time. And now that the things are looking up very grim, the situation is grim. So we are also means very worried about how things will be. So in that, this will be very helpful to us. I hope all the students, everyone will get more insights from this and they will act accordingly. So thank you so much for giving us the time. And yeah,
Pleasure is
Rachna.
mine. Stay positive.
Yes.
The message: stay positive. Look towards what you can do to survive in this situation and thrive. And that's absolutely what we have to say.